it's important to understand that the Ukrainian defense remains stable. Yes, they have huge issues with manpower, but for now it remains stable, and any of these Russian gains are coming at huge costs, because that's the only way they know how to attack. They're not able of making big breakthroughs. They're not capable of this.
Whilst we wait to see if the much vaunted talks between Vladimir Putin, President Zelensky and President Trump ever take place, Russia appears to be making key gains in the battlefield. The Kyiv government has conceded that Russia now has a foothold in the region of Dnipropetrovsk. This is an advance from the occupied Donetsk region. Francis Farrell is a reporter for the Kyiv Independent in Lviv and joins us now. Hi there, Francis. This will be deeply unwelcome news, won't it?
Good morning. I mean, on paper it is, because it is another Ukrainian region where Russian troops have now dug in. They've not just come, in the last few months, we had a few cases of them infiltrating with small groups into that region and then being cleared. The fighting has been very close to there for a while now, but now, again, that area has become red on the maps that most of us use, and it is a kind of sad new milestone. But on the other hand, it's just a line on a map. And again, these regions, these border towns and cities in this area have been under attack from Russian artillery and drones for quite a while now.
Is there any sense on the ground that Russia has simply been using the peace talks that we've been making a fuss about in the world news to make military gains on the ground?
Yeah, as simple as that sounds, I would agree for sure, because the basic, framework in which these peace talks should be understood is that there only can be peace when Russia stops. Russia needs to stop for peace, and a peace deal needs to start with the question, why should Russia stop? But we know that Russia wants so much more of Ukraine. In fact, the very existence of an independent, strong, democratic Ukraine is the reason they started their invasion with an attack on Kyiv. So they don't want to stop. They feel like they're continuing to have limited success so far on the battlefield. And they're quite happy to drag this circus out for as long as they would like, so long as they can keep advancing.
What's your sense of how this can be brought to any kind of conclusion? Do people that you are talking to think that they just need to keep fighting in the hope that a beneficial political solution can be found, or are people starting to tire of war and are looking for anything that could just stop this relentless Russian advance?
Well, the only thing the Russians are offering at the moment is still akin to a capitulation for Ukraine. There's no other way of putting it. They were first asking for all of the four regions, and now to show Trump that they're kind of there's a semblance of interest in peace. They've changed it to just one region, but even that, we're talking about 250,000 Ukrainians being their homes being passed over into Russian occupation. The torture and the deportations that come with that, of course, that would make the rest of Ukraine much more difficult to defend. It would basically put one foot in the grave for Ukraine, never mind the other demands that the Kremlin has. So everyone wants peace. People are tired on a personal level, for sure. But so far, with Russia showing no signs of stopping or wanting to stop, there's an understanding at this point that there is still no other choice.
Zelensky's ruled out territory swaps, and what you were describing there sounds horrendous and obviously not something anyone would want to countenance. But do people accept that they may have to deal with the Russian territory that they've gained staying part of Russia for the foreseeable future, even though it's not recognised by the international community as a price for peace?
Yeah, we've reached that point for sure at this point, and that's the message coming from Kyiv, that first a ceasefire, so with an understanding that that's along the current contact line, that Ukraine's not going to get that back anytime soon, but first an unconditional ceasefire, and then working on a proper peace plan which will ensure that they won't be a repeat invasion. But of course, that whole theoretical concept runs completely against what Russia wants, which is a lot more of Ukraine. And even if they do settle for stopping in the short term, creating conditions where Ukraine will be weakened and disunited and ripe for another invasion. So that's basically the framework we're working on at the moment, and both of those things, whether that's stopping the Russians now or stopping the Russians from invading in the future, relies on the strongest possible Ukrainian military.
The picture you're painting does sound a little bleak. Is there any cause for hope or optimism from where you're standing right now?
I was out in the east just a week ago, and I was watching in basically a live view of the Russians assaulting, sometimes on motorbikes, in these endless waves of humans. But that cannot go on forever. The Russians, they sometimes seem to be picking up the pace on the battlefield, but it's important to understand that the Ukrainian defense remains stable. Yes, they have huge issues with manpower, but for now it remains stable, and any of these Russian gains are coming at huge costs, because that's the only way they know how to attack. They're not able of making big breakthroughs. They're not capable of this. So there's a lot of pain still ahead, but if Ukraine can just hold the line and work on improving its solid defense, eventually the question of why does Russia stop will be answered by the fact that they just don't have any more people to just keep throwing into this meat grinder.
Goodness me, it sounds even bleaker. Francis Farrell, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate your time. Thanks very much for talking to us. Good luck, stay safe. That's Francis Farrell, a reporter for the Kyiv Independent.
President, very good to see you again. How are you? Yeah, very well, thank you. Thank you for having us again. Thank you so much. And this is my relief, the new Chief of Defence next week. Very good to meet you. Very good to meet you. Thank you so much. Border meetings. But it's, I always come, country stands for.
Thank you so much. And we are thankful to you, and we're thankful to Kyiv, Prime Minister, for such deep involvement to this process, and with coalition of willingness and with the support. So thank you so much.
So, thank you. The Prime Minister sends his regard. Dependent. It's nation dependent, and Rich will